Hi, my name is Aaron Tarr, and I'm a lead instructor here at the Virginia Baseball Club. The purpose of this video is to help youth coaches teach pitching to beginners. Our ultimate goal is to create a consistent motion which produces consistent strikes. Today we're going to discuss the 4 basic phases of pitching, identifying common flaws, and recommending methods for correcting these flaws. Before we get started, I'd like to briefly talk about developing young pitchers. Coaches should strive to give all players the opportunity to work on pitching during practice, set aside time in pre-practice or post-practice for pitchers to prove to coaches that they're ready for games, and work in lots of reps for pitchers on flat ground. Working pitchers in practice allows you to develop a number of pitchers without affecting the flow of games by throwing inexperienced pitchers into the fire. So now let's start with the 4 basic phases of pitching. For beginning pitchers, the 4 phases of pitching are 1, the setup, rocker, step, and pivot. 2, the balance point. 3, direction and power position. And then the 4th one is the release and the follow-through. In the final section, we'll discuss some of the important mental aspects of pitching. We're going to start by covering the setup, rocker, step, and pivot. Assisting me today is a very good young pitcher, James Trianos from Vienna Little League. We want to start with our hands together in a comfortable position and our shoulders relaxed. Step on that mound. Okay? Good. We want to start with our feet angled slightly towards the dugout, similar to the way many major leaguers do, including Cliff Lee. So angle those feet slightly that way. Good. Okay? The purpose of the rocker step is to allow the pitcher to fully pivot his contact foot. We want to take a slight step back or to the side or in front of the rubber. Okay, so take your pivot, there you go. Okay, when we pivot our contact foot, we want to get the contact foot in front of the rubber and parallel to the rubber, just like James has it right there. It's important to emphasize that throughout the rocker step and pivot, our head needs to stay over our back foot or our contact foot. So his head's going to stay straight over that top of that foot to keep him balanced. The common flaw we see from beginning pitchers is an inconsistent rocker step, which doesn't allow for correct pivot and the foot to become parallel to the pitching rubber. So here's a drill we use to reinforce a correct rocker step and pivot. James is going to set up as we discussed. His feet are slightly angled. He's got his hands comfortably set right there. And he's going to take his rocker step and pivot. Go ahead. Rocker step, pivot, freeze. Okay? Here at this freeze spot, he's going to check to make sure his head is over his contact foot and his foot is parallel to the pitching rubber. James is a very experienced pitcher, so these things come really naturally to him, but for most beginning pitchers, that's not really the case. Good, both of those look good. Now he's going to repeat the process. While this might seem simple, the first phase of pitching is very important for young pitchers to understand and become consistent in this motion. If a pitcher is consistent with his rocker step and pivot, he or she is more likely to continue with a consistent motion producing consistent strikes.